Hello and welcome to the third episode of our new podcast. Still no name, right?
No name at all. So we need your help to give us a name.
No name podcast.
That's too long.
Yeah, it's too long. No name podcast, too long.
Yes, too long.
Got to be a shorter acronym.
Something that can.
So today we have a special episode. Wawa, can you fill the people in what we're going to talk about?
We're going to talk about music, how we deaf artists, our process of music and music in general, what we do, our journey, what it was like, things like that. It's not your typical way from the hearing artists, deaf artists, how they do it. Same, not at all. So we're going to take you on a journey on that one. I can't wait.
Yeah, I think every person has their unique process for sure.
Yes.
You know, everybody has different tools to use, different resources, different people to be involved in the process. I'm curious. Let's go back in time when you were an aspiring deaf music artist, your first recording session. Like, what was that like?
Well, before that, I was actually producing music. So I had a small keyboard, drum machine. That was like the best thing of creating, Then I typically would go to a recording studio. And back then, in my home area, called Q Recordings. So
I remember that.
A lot of well-known people just go there. And it was good. So me know how to do all this recording, the audio and stuff. It's out. It was complicated. I read about it. I learned about it. But the process, I realized it was a lot more complicated than I thought. And you really need someone who is hearing could pick that up, filter out different things. Not easy, but it was fun. So I went to recording studio often. And I learned a lot from them because they were like teaching me how to pronounce this. And it's not clear. Your voice is wavering. Go back and learn the vocabulary. 5 bars. Go back 3 bars. Go back 12 bars. Go 4. I'm like, what? That was a journey, but it was good.
Speaking of that, recording and working with recording engineers is a language in itself.
Yes.
We're always learning like our language, our expression of how we visualize sound, because as a deaf person, we don't necessarily have the right language or words to describe what we're hearing or feeling. So often I'd be like, can you make that sound bigger? Like, what does bigger mean? Does it mean louder, more full, more round? What does full, what does round mean? So there's like so much language that you learn in the studio.
Yeah, so when you have your favorite or the person who you work with a lot, your engineer, you will develop that language. You will develop that cue of how to easily go back and record without even going all the way back and starting all over. Know where to stop, where to go. And he knows your voice, he knows your style. It's just cool.
Yeah, for me, I grew up in this business. I had the fortunate blessing of having an uncle who himself was an audio engineer. But I will tell you, I've been in the room with him many times. I've seen him at work, but never understood the language itself. Always appreciated the art form of recording because back then he would record on tape.
That's different. It is
completely different. I grew up with listening to tape rewinding. It was like you would record, and then you would be done, and then you would press rewind, and you would hear, and it would go back, and then you would play it again. So I grew up with that style of recording, and always, to me, never felt accessible. And it's interesting to say that because as a recording artist today, we have lots of technology that's readily available for us.
That's right.
And one of the most important things, and this is something I've discussed with the deaf DJ Robbie Wild, is the visualizing sound waves. Being able to see the sound waves and to see how the music is structured visually on a screen really makes a world of difference for a deaf artist. Because if I had to record without any visual cues, like for example, back in the day, Motown, you had live musicians in the room and everybody was, they would do a count of 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a visual cue in itself for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But today we're working on music in a multitude of variations as it relates to who, what, how. There's so many different ways to do it. But for me, I feel blessed to live in this day and age, whereas back then you had sound, like meters that moved like this. You're like,
and you have to make sure you know the right rhythm of that.
Right.
Ooh.
Being able to see like the counting on the screen, to see like you could feel, you could listen to the beat, you know, when you're about to come in, could see it. Then you could see yourself like recording simultaneous. You see like the sound waves from your actual recording. So for me, that makes a world of difference.
Yeah, the technology we have today is really awesome because now you can record in your home. Okay. They did have recordings in a home, but they had to build this system, mute or soundproof the walls, all that to make sure the recording time, as you explained what your uncle did, that's OG. Okay. That's something. That's like building a new house or a room or something.
Tape. They had to cut tape and put it together. But my uncle worked in a big recording studio like Q.
Yeah.
I remember you guys posting pictures of Q. Very similar type of room.
Yeah.
And like you, I have a home recording studio as well. I have several different kinds of gear, but I will admit, I don't really use it for the actual recording of my stuff. I'm lucky that I have access to someone like Jake Bass, who has a beautiful recording studio called FBT. You know, the two of us have worked for many years at many different recording studios, including 54 Sound, FBT, and our home studios. I mean, we've recorded a lot of things in this basement and his basement. So I will say that every experience is a little bit different, and the vibe is always different too. You know, like for me during the pandemic, I admit that I didn't really record much because I appreciate being in the same room with somebody who would tell me off the bat, that doesn't sound right. Can you do that again? Your enunciation on the specific word is not correct. So to have that built-in engineer, producer, speech therapist,
speech sergeant,
all of it. I mean, Jake Bass is that for me in so many ways, and I've been blessed over the past 15 plus years of working with him to develop that language where we understand each other, we understand where things are going to go. We've developed that telepathic language in a lot of ways.
But that's the same way what's happened with me and Nikar. Yeah. Okay, so I remember I was doing the producing, the writing, the recordings. I was doing all that, but I had no one to really give me feedback. You know, it sounds good. It's the sound. You will play this music at your party or anything like that. So I remember I had a big show that I did doing a homecoming, and it was called Swag and Out. That. So all that, yeah, we did that, and it was good. And the very next day, I went to the Fringe Festival, which music festival, so I was invited to perform there. And I remember I performed the song there, and this guy comes up and goes, "Hey, I was listening to your music. your performance is great, but your music sounds a little bit murky. So, my name is Nikar. I'm a sound engineer. Maybe I can help you with a little bit with it. I was like, finally, someone is telling me my music sucks. Okay,
but in a very nice way.
Yeah, in a nice way. I mean, guys, because when I released the song, that music that I did, I never released it in US. I released it in Japan first. Okay. So
and I remember what you're talking about.
You talk about so people were buying it. So I was asking for feedback.
Songs. I remember some of those songs. 1, 2, 3 from my ABCs.
So throughout that whole time, people were telling me, "Oh, it's great, great." So I gave my CD to a friend of mine who happened to be a musician, specialized, his whole family, everything. They recorded to a lot of things. So I gave it to him to listen to him. I think it's ready for US. Blah, blah, blah. He popped in this CD. He popped the CD in the radio. And he went, "You did this?" I said, "Yeah." "You voiced this?" "Yeah." "You made the music?" "Yeah." "Okay." Took it out. Snapped it in half.
Wow.
Your writing, your wordplay, great, but the music production, everything is not US ready at all. It's like, but people have been buying like crazy. So I started contacting people for feedback. "Oh, it's great, no problem." Especially in Japan. "What's going on?" So I asked, "Okay, so if it's so good, why you buy?" "Oh, anything that people send from other countries, we accept it." There's no feedback. So going back to when the car was telling me, "It's murky, I can help you." Someone's telling me I need work. So since then, partnership. This guy was my speech therapist, my speech sergeant. Your P's, your B's, make it clear. Too many words, sound like you're mumbling. Go back, do it again. Now, we did this in his apartment, and it was a closet. I mean, a small.
I've done my fair share of closet recording.
So he had the soundproof, thick door. Boom. It's almost like you can't even breathe in that thing, So open. I mean, the air just feels so good. Close it and just hollering here and you're recording. Like, yeah. So we recorded our first song together called Vendetta. That was the first song we recorded together. And I remember when I did the first verse on there, and I was nervous because I was not sure if he's going to no, whatever, that kind of thing. But he opened up the door, his face like, very good. I'm jumping up and down in my mind like, yes, someone liked the music. I wasn't sure because, he's very on point. So he worked with me on so many things. He expanded my vision, my writing skills, everything. I learned so much from my hearing perspective, and he was learning from me from the signing and the depth perspective when it comes to writing. It was true. But yeah, learning the language, learning to communicate, learning to understand what I should do, how I should do it. I mean, he was pushed me. I mean, you need that. If you want to become successful artists and stuff, and someone really believes in you to push you up on there, you better take that because he's been involved with it for so long so he knows everything about it. And I'm just popping up. Who am I to fight you, tell you, no, you don't understand. You better take it and learn it. And with this help, with this belief in pushing, when we've been pushing each other, it's amazing. So when you have an engineer...
I feel the same way with Jake Bass. How we actually met. Around that time, I just formed Deep Head.
Mm-hmm.
And like always, I was trying to find my way into the music business. I was making my own beats. I was writing my own songs, very similar to yours. I was recording, making my own music, working a little bit with my uncle as well and my dad, who themselves have a lot of experience recording and working on music. But I never felt content with the music itself. I questioned a lot. I just constantly wondered how this could be better, how I could improve it. I wasn't sure how. And it just so happened one day I was at the studio where I worked at, 54 Sound,
Right.
and I walked into the conference room and I saw a CD that said Beats on it. That's all it said. It was a CD with Beats. So I stole it. And I remember getting into my car and I played the music and I started writing to it. And the music just spoke to me, but I wasn't sure who produced this music. So I went back to the studio the next day and I confessed that I stole the Beat CD that was in the conference room, and the guy, I am a very honest person.
Yeah.
I did it with the right intent. I never intended to put it out myself. Some people will take it and not say anything. That's not me. I don't roll like that.
I get it.
So the next day I was like, whose Beat CD is this? And they were like, well, for some reason, they're just a little bit hesitant. And I started to question, is this person a really well-known person who works with the team? Who is this person?
Yeah.
So my friend was like, let me get back to you. Let me find out if they're interested in working with you. I mean, to me, I was like, I was not established. I was the new kid on the block who was throwing everything at the wall.
Okay.
So I just decided to write a song to one of the beats. So I wrote the song, recorded it myself, and I went back to work and they said, we set up a meeting with you and that producer. So he's going to come in later today. And I was like, oh, okay. Guess who shows up? This kid, 15 years old, with his mom. And I'm like, who? It's Jake Bath.
Wow.
I met him when he was 15 with his mom. And I played him that song that I recorded, and he was like, I would really like to work with you. Maybe you have another song or something that you're working on? It's kind of in some ways saying that the song you wrote to my beat is cool, but I think you can do something cooler. So that opportunity came up. And, when you start working with people, you have to show your dedication, your persistence to the craft. You can't just be sitting around waiting for that person.
Can't do that.
So I took advantage of the situation. I went back to the drawing board and I started writing a new song. And I already had the song in my head. I just hadn't put it down.
Yeah.
I hadn't written it. So I wrote this whole song. And how I presented it to Jake was I recorded it to a click track. So I just started rapping it. I found the BPM, the beats per minute.
Right.
And then I recorded it without music on it, just to the metronome.
Okay.
So I rapped it, and the song is Deafer Than Death Jam. So death. So I rapped the whole song with just Deafer Than Death Jam. So death. And I gave it to him. I said, okay, this is a song I have called I'm Deaf. And the BPM is, 118. And I gave it to him.
Wow.
Not even a few days later, he gives me the track. And what you hear on the final version is pretty much what he gave me. I have goosebumps right now.
In a few days?
A few days later, he gives it to me. And it is what you hear on the final version. That
at 15.
It's the first song that we ever did together. And I will never forget when I got it, I freaked out. I couldn't stop sitting in my car listening to it. I was like, I felt like it was so good. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, so at that time, my dad and my uncle were at a restaurant, and I drove to that restaurant about 30 minutes away, drove there, and they worked there. They owned and managed a restaurant. So I parked in the back, and I went in, and they knew that I was working with Jake. They were like, did you have the song with you? So the three of us went in my car, and we sat there, and I played it for them. And I remember both of them were shocked.
Wow.
They were like, my dad was like, play it again, play it again. So I played it again.
Knew you was onto something.
I mean, both my dad and my uncle, the two people I really look up to in this music journey, were both shocked. And I was like, part of me was like, do they like it? Do they not like it? I mean, Dad's asking me to play it again, so he must like it, or maybe he's like trying to like, is this for real? So I played it again, and both of them were like, wow. And it led to a second session, a third session. And before you know it, we had a group of songs, and we just kept going, and we've been going ever since.
When we did that first song for Vendetta, and then with the hook.
I didn't even realize that Vendetta was your first song with Nicole. Yeah. That's amazing.
Because the hook, I don't care, you can't hold me down.
Mm-hmm.
Hold me down. He was screaming from the top of his lungs. That was him. He did the hook. And he told me a story about it that had me laughing. Because we had a theme while we write the song. But the inside for that song, for that hook, was because he lost his camera on the metro. And he was like, ah! He was already frustrated. I think that time he was having a bad day or something. And I was like, okay, no problem with this. Just like I feel it. Just write it down and put it in. And but we always come up with different themes. And that which leads me us to mainly process of what we writing process, what we do.
Yeah.
Do we just in the mind here write it down, or we just see something and we just write it down, or is it the rhythm? Do we feel we write it down a rap, or the theme? We do a lot of things, or sometimes other people's experience. Can I write a song about that? Yeah, we write a song about that. So, in general, many artists do that, but the process, the recording process. For example, for me, headphone, have to adjust my hearing aid to make sure it's covered and to make sure I hear it. I can't. Some people will have one and nothing on the other.
Right.
Some both. Some just,
And that's hearing people as well. I've seen them like this, so they could listen to the band live, and then they could hear themselves, and so everyone's different.
I mean, I remember I saw someone actually had his headphone upside down, just upside down, and I asked, "Why you do that?" He said, "Because it helps him keep his jaw from dropping."
Dropping from his own raps.
So he so he controlled it. Boom, bam, 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 bam. So I'm like, oh, okay. So people have a different way. I tried that. I felt like someone telling me. I said, nope. So just that. But I had to make sure because I had a hearing aid. And so when you have something that's over top, your hearing aid would or whistle. So you have to figure out a way how to avoid that because the recording will pick it up. And so I have to figure out, do I turn it down? Do I turn it up? Do I move? So I had to play with that a lot. Get that, then voice. So Nicole would say something, screams, so adjust the volume of the sound.
Right. So
know that. And then the tempo, sometimes you have to metronome that, and then boom, 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 boom. Then you start the music, But sometimes the beat just start and we already know the rhythm. And then, every artist have a different way of processing things. Some people write it all down and then they start putting it in. Some people write the first verse only,
Right.
and then they record it maybe 2,000, 3,000 times. That's me. Then, that's me.
Me too. Jake is always like, that one was good. Let's do it again.
Yeah.
This is his famous phrase.
Because saying,
It's almost psychological. It's like, that was good, but I have to do it again, which means that it wasn't that good.
yeah, because you would feel like you did it perfectly, but from him hearing it from the outside of you, no, that didn't sound right. I thought it was perfect. No. Or sometimes you feel he would say, no, I want you to say it this way or this way. But I want to stay with this way. I like it this way. So you go back and forth. But that's the creativity. That's creativity.
I love, like, I'll admit when I'm writing songs and I'm sitting in this room, I'm writing, I'm coming up with ideas, I'm rapping them to myself in this room. Then when I go to the studio and I do it, sometimes it doesn't always feel the same.
Right.
And sometimes I'm in there, I'll record something, I'll ask, do you mind playing it back? And I'll listen to it. And I'm like, interesting, that's not what I envision. Then I try to, get it to where I want it. But sometimes it doesn't happen that day. Sometimes it's like, I didn't get it that day. And sometimes I'll take a break, put it aside and think about it, maybe work on another song, keep things moving, work on another song, and then go back to it. And then sometimes it happens. There's been many times in the studio, and one of my favorite moments is when I sing something and I could see Jake's face. Jake is like, bro, you just sang that in key. Really? I didn't know. It's funny because sometimes you just have that lightning in a bottle where things just naturally happen organically instead of forcing it. But sometimes you have to force that. You have to keep going. It's not uncommon that producers force you to do it hundreds of times to make sure you get that right take. And it happens all the time. I know that Dr. Dre is notorious for that. Like Snoop and several other artists are like, Dre is so annoying when I work with him because he says, do it again and again.
You didn't say this right. I didn't hear the A. I didn't hear, wow, do it again. That's your meaning of a speech therapist right there.
Yeah.
Woo.
You're right. I think producers, engineers, because sometimes, what's the difference between a producer and an engineer? What's your perspective?
The difference between...
I think we're both lucky to have a producer, engineer as one person, but often they're not always one person.
Yeah. Producer would just simply focus on the music. And then everything is related with music. How the beats, the style, what theme, what it is, producing that music. Then you have the engineer. They usually isolate the sound. I want this a little bit louder and smaller. I want this shorter, thicker, thinner, more reverb, all that kind of the language. And
and all of the toys, the mixing, and the outboard gear.
And then they do the mixing, which is a whole new different process. So, but those for producer and engineer. So when you have someone who does both, that's really, it's not something you just pop. This takes practice. This takes training. This takes commitment to this. Okay. Then you have someone who does both, plus tells you you're saying too much.
Right.
Pronounce this. That's a lot of work. It's not easy. So that's why it's like hats off to them. Thank you. Because it shows that they care. Producers, normally they just produce, you run it. I don't care, I'm done. Engineers, if they're not really having a good relationship with them or know them well, they just say, want to do it again? Okay, fine. They just leave it. They won't really help you much.
It makes me think, what advice could we give to young, deaf, aspiring musicians who maybe don't have the same access that we have? What could we say to them if they were interested in going in this field, like, where would you start?
First, you really believe in yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
You want to have some people you approach. A producer might like your writing, but they wanted you to write to their way when really you are the artist. Okay.
Right.
Okay. That's one thing. But to build a connection, you need to build a connection, build a friend. Build really not just for the business. I just want you to produce the music for me. That's all I need. No. I mean, get to know this person, know his style, and knows your style, your writing ability, what you're looking for too, your vision. So if you have a nice vision together, you can collaborate on something. Collaborate on something, testing. Same thing when you're working with the sound engineer, this person knows your voice, knows your style, knows what. You're building a connection. If you don't build a connection, everything's going to be like line drawn.
Right.
You just don't cross this. Stay in your lane. I'll stay in mine. And it doesn't work. Okay. You got the business thing. So I just bought a beat from you. Thank you. And I work on it. That person saying, important, I get paid. I'm not worried about anything else. But if you have someone who builds a relationship, a team, yeah, you have a lasting relationship with that.
Yeah, I agree 100% with what you said. And just to add to that, I think you have to experiment a little bit. You have to experiment with different studios, different engineers. You know, maybe you reach out to one studio and say, hey, I'm hard of hearing. I can speak for myself. I'm really interested in rap. I have a beat. I would like to come in and record. I think you have to spread your ask out rather than, you know, because I've worked with many people over the years, many amazing people. Mm-hmm. But the communication in the studio, the good use of time as well, because time in the studio is, you don't want to waste it. You want to take advantage of it as much as possible. Mm-hmm. And, you know, for me, it makes a world of difference when you feel welcome. Mm-hmm. You feel like they're going to listen to you, because a good producer would try to understand what the artist is looking for and how to evolve with the artist as well. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a great opportunity for the engineers and producers to also open their minds of how to work with artists from different backgrounds, because, I mean, you talk about working with people who come from a gospel background. Mm-hmm. They're used to singing with a chorus of people and singing in unison together, you know, to working with a rapper that just wants to rap into a microphone and make sure they kill it. You know, there's different recording processes for both, different vibes, different styles. And I think any great engineer can recognize that, mm-hmm. and also recognize that they're interested in what they're doing. Because if you're working with somebody that's just looking for the quick, you know, payday, it doesn't always work like that. And sometimes that may be where the relationship starts. Right. Maybe it starts from going in the studio, working with that engineer. Then you feel the vibe and you're like, would you be interested in doing more together? I think that's important to find that. I feel very lucky that I found that person off the bat in Jake Bath. He believed in me. He saw something unique in me. That's another thing about being an artist, is we have to be unique. We have to have your own story. I tend to gravitate more toward artists that have a story to share, that have something to put out there, rather than artists who are trying to mimic other artists.
That.
If you get what I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, every one of us has a unique background, a unique upbringing, a unique story to share. But some of us may not, and we may find other avenues in the music business that work for us. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know many amazing engineers who are amazing musicians as well. Mm-hmm. And they're doing their things. They're playing in churches, they're playing with local bands are doing different things to get their name out there and developing connections. I mean, there is no one specific way to make it in the music business.
Exactly. So that's why shout out to Jake and shout out to Nicole for working with us. We love you. We couldn't do this without you. Thank you so much for that.
So that brings me to another kind of a sidebar. What inspires you with music? Is it the beat? Is it the lyrics? I mean, you mentioned on that briefly, but we kind of went off like we always do. I mentioned I'm deaf. I mentioned writing to a click track. I rapped it. I found the beat that the BPM that I liked, the flow, because the flow is so important.
Right.
And in fact, now I find myself going back to my roots with that kind of concept. So yeah, I'm curious, does Nicole send you beats or do you write and then you present in the car? Like, what's your process?
Well, we do.
Is it the same or is it
No,
different?
it's never the same. It's almost never the same. It varies. And we like it because it keeps the creative juice just flowing, ideas, just picking out something. I mean, for example, sometimes we have a theme and we write about that theme or based on our experience. Sometimes I just write something and then I will put it out there and send it to him and he'll come up with a beat. Fine. That part is a little bit rare. He always have beats ready. I mean, he's a beat machine. You're talking about a pure producer. It just goes right in. He's just constant. Sometimes when he's working, he's doing a break, he's creating beats. Sometimes he's flying, he's creating beats. I mean, the dude, at the airplane.
I don't want to be the person sitting in front of him because I've experienced making beats on the airplane. And I've had people like look up and look at me and I'm like, which one? They're like, you're making my seat rock because I'm like with that little like MIDI controller in the airplane.
So that's the good thing about the software and the technology I have today. You can do it on the plane, create everywhere you go. And sometimes me as an artist, I'm in a hotel and I'm recording. Sometimes I'm not home or in the studio. I'm bringing my equipment, pack it in, push it out. So sometimes when the cleaner comes in my room, what's that? They see the mic, they see the scarlet, everything, the system is set. Ready to go.
That's common. I don't think people realize how common that is because a lot of artists like to have the recording process ready for when inspiration strikes. And I admit many times where I'm like, I wish I had something with me and I have to put, it's interesting. I saw the producer, Benny Blanco. I think that's his last name. He produces for many different artists like Ed Sheeran. He dating Selena Gomez. Anyways, I saw him say that Sia, you remember Sia, the artist? Did she have a sign language video before?
Yes, she did.
I think so, yeah. But for some reason, I was like, was Wawa in it?
No.
Anyways, Sia wrote the song Diamonds by Rihanna while waiting for a cab. In 15 minutes, wrote the whole song in 15 minutes, the music, the chorus, everything in 15 minutes. And I was like, dang, girl, like everything. So it's interesting how music can happen like this, or it can be a process.
I have a story. One time, Nicole and I were performing in Mississippi. But what happened was there was a new hotel that was happening, that was open there. And first we were staying at one place and we performed at the festival, boom. Then we had a weather warning, like a tornado warning, hurricane warning, something like that. Our flight was canceled. So we texted the guy picked us up and put us in this new hotel that was right on the beach. And it just opened like 2 days, was open 2 days. So we come in, we had this nice room. I kid you not. We open up, we go in. I just happened to look out the window. Wow. I turned around. I seen the car jumping on the bed with the camera. And he's going like this. And we were doing a cover song. Doing like this. And he said, you need to do this song.
Cake by the Ocean?
Cake by the Ocean. So we were doing that.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you doing?
I'm a big Wawa and Nicole fan, so I have a lot of memories in the archive.
Yeah. So we did that. So I never even heard of the group. Nothing. So I had to learn all that in like 15, 20 minutes, and we was recording, shoot, video, boom. Then the next day, we were supposed to fly out. Our plane was delayed again. So he wrote a song. Only ASL won. Ooh, nah, nah.
Ooh, nah, nah.
He wrote that. And so he wrote it. I was like, and we were going back and forth on it. So we was writing it based on the experience. It was awesome. And so I add little things in there, then was writing it. Then he was making the music right there, right at our friend's home. Next thing you know, when we got back home, we started recording it. Boom. And then later when we released that song, that's when Adrian came and said, you gotta come, because I was flying in Detroit. You gotta come and record this. We did that music video there. That was so awesome. And then it was relatable. It was very awesome relatable. Song. So a lot of people, they relate so much to that song. But then you have to understand, if you don't mind, because we deaf artists, we have a lot of things on our plate when we do. We do the writing, we do the recording, speech therapy thing, and then we have to work on the ASL translation. Okay? That's not easy, because sometimes we have a wordplay and we have to visualize how we're going to present that in 3D for everyone to be able to understand what we're saying about this. But we also leave it to the audience to guess, which maybe could mean another meaning, maybe another idea. But when we sign it, it's not easy. So what's your process when you do that?
I struggle with that. The after, like, making the music, writing it. I mean, that's my passion. I love that part of it. But a big part of my DNA, a big part of who I am, is making my shows accessible, making the music itself accessible. And that's a big challenge, because for me, there are times where I just know when I write the song that's going to be fun to sing. I just know. It's like songs like Little Victories. I just know with how I delivered it, how I can visualize myself signing it. But there are times where I'm like, I love the challenge as a hard of hearing person. I love the challenge of showing that I can wrap my head off. Right. I can deliver something in a way that would, possibly make the hearing peers take notice. And, I struggle with that, because I cherish my deaf audience, making my music accessible, making sure that the audience is involved. But one thing I think that many deaf and hard of hearing people don't realize that I've found out through the years, is that hearing people don't always pick up on what is in the song.
Right.
Like, they may only know the chorus, but during the verses, when you're rapping or you're singing, they're just listening to the sounds of it. And sometimes it's the sound, not necessarily the word specific. I'm more of a word specific type of person, because my knowledge and growing up and my access to music, I wanted to understand what the artist was saying, what their expression was, how they were expressing it. So I'm always in that realm. Whereas the second realm is, how do I deliver this to my fans, to my audience, so they can be a part of the experience? So that part has evolved over the years. In the beginning, I was like, I just want to put out good songs. And then I would face the challenge of, like, I have to make this accessible. And I've worked with many amazing deaf ASL translators, directed of artistic sign language. I've worked with several of the years that have really shaped my perspective on how I deliver, because that in itself is its own art form. But one thing I will say is, and I'm just putting this out there, I am looking for someone who has that same vibe, because I've worked with many different, and they all have their own vibe, their own ways of expressing music. I have my way, and my way is shaped by, I want to make sure that these audiences understand my wordplay, understand the lyrics that I wrote. And sometimes I want to leave it open to interpretation. Because sometimes the director of ASL would say, we need to deliver it like that. And, the phrase will be a specific wordplay. And I'm like, I understand you want to translate my music, but I want to leave it open to interpretation so they can for themselves. That's a big part of music as well. Giving you the ability, because when I listen to Nirvana, for example, obviously Kurt Cobain wrote the songs based on his experiences and his expression, but he writes them in a way where it also leaves it open to interpretation. And I find that process very fascinating. And there are so many amazing people in this field right now who are incredible at translating not just one style of music, but many different styles. Because and that brings me to going and watching people perform, artists that I love, performing in ASL. Yeah. And I've seen terrible interpretations on, like I'm watching like Red Hot Chili Peppers. I grew up listening to the Chili Peppers. And then I see somebody butcher the song in sign language. And I'm like, where did you come up with this idea? Because they're translating it in what their interpretation of it is. And I always try to avoid that. I try to either give you, because most of my songs are experiences that I've gone through. But I do have some songs where I want to leave things open to interpretation.
Yes.
So it's always a combination between the two. So I'm always, it's like finding the perfect producer, finding the perfect engineer. You have to find that perfect person who can help you translate it. I call them the ghost signer. Like somebody translates your ASL for you.
I love it.
And I've had lots of great experiences with that.
So we were mentioning about ghost signers. I mean, for many, many years, I have always translated all my songs myself because I love doing it. But sometimes I get stuck on certain things. I'm like, how can I sound that better? What can I do to improve that?
Right.
That's not the point of the story or what. I ask the people, what's your sign for this? And or sometimes they say, what do you mean? What's the whole story? So I tell them the whole story. Oh, means this. Oh, fine. Another eye, another mind to help me see another new thing or vocabulary sign that, okay, thank you. You get the credit where it's due. So it's like a lot of things. Like, for example, I wrote a song. Well, I had a ghost writer and I co-written on it, and he was and hearing. And we was talking about God, how I came to God. And it's called All That's Left. That song, when we wrote it, he wrote his part, and I was putting in some words because I was giving my opportunity because I think he was a really good rapping partner. We worked together, and I love ghostwriters too because why not? They earn money. Some are really good, really, really good. I mean, skilled with writing, but don't like to be in front on stage to perform. So they be behind the scene and write for you, produce. Many artists have that. many artists, many.
Right.
And it's part of creativity team, elevating, earning money if possible. Yeah, the shine there. So he and I was working on it. But what we wrote was very, very complicated. And he's a very, very expressive rapper. So when he wrote, I was like, wow, it's good. My part, his part, we put it in. But now, signing, oh, snap. How can I do this better? My way, I did fine. So I asked a friend of mine, my queen's good friend, and she, a professor for ASL. Would you mind you be DSL, Director of Artistic Design, for me? Fine. Presented. We went back and forth on it. And it was much better. I was like, wow. And she don't listen to rap. She really don't really listen to music, period. But she got it. And boom. Then we made the music video for that. Beautiful. So having her, ghost signer, DSL, ghost writer, collaborate, work on it. Create a beautiful music.
It takes a team. It takes a team to do this. And I mean, I understand what you go through as a recording artist because it's not easy. You're always questioning things. You're always, is this good enough? And even when people send me their music, I'm always like, I don't want to give too much feedback because number one, I want to respect the artistic integrity. Right. And I appreciate people asking me, what I think. But at the same time, I think that you need to put it out there, get feedback from the fans, take it into consideration. Feedback is a great way to learn and to evolve.
If it's constructive
what
feedback,
you want. Constructive feedback, for sure. For sure. You can't just say, you suck. Okay, why do I suck? Like,
you want to know.
How can I not suck anymore? Or is it because you don't like the style of music or you just don't like me? I think that people will rock with you if they like you and your music and your vibe. Mm-hmm. Because today, music is not just about music. It's about you as a person.
I agree.
I see that in you all the time. I see your fans come up to you. They are gravitated to you. Your music is your calling card, and people rock with your music, but they're rocking with you. They're buying into you as an artist. And that's the world we live in today. People want to be a part of whatever cool thing that you're doing. And you have always been welcoming to that. I see so many deaf artists that work with you in the car, and you give them those tools to learn and to develop and to become performers and recording artists. I think that this profession is extra hard for us because this is not easy.
It's not easy, but if your dream is bigger than you will be up for the challenge. You will get some frustration, some bumps in the road, but it's how you respond to that, how you handle it from there and go on. But it's just that when, like you mentioned, all those things is wonderful, but it's got to come from here. It has to come from here.
That's a perfect, because I'll admit, when I first started making music, I was really gravitated in the rap area because I was surrounded by rappers. I was working with people who produce rap. So for me, it was like, I got to do the rap thing. And I loved rap. But my first love, really, honestly, was playing drums, playing guitar, that kind of music. I think when we were on tour for the Perfect Imperfection album, in the band, we were always listening to rock music. We're always listening to, Rage Against the Machine. We were listening to heavy stuff, soft stuff. We were listening to rap too. But it made me realize that my true love is guitars and drums. So my music itself has evolved with that realization and with age and acceptance of who I am as an artist, what my story is, what I grew up on. And I'm happy to see myself in a situation where I've evolved with a partner who recognizes that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's sitting in the car with us and he's listening to the kind of music that I love. So taking those influences and putting it in the music, I feel like I finally feel more content and comfortable as an artist, knowing and accepting that this is my story. These are my words. This is my expression to you. And you can either rock with it or not. I don't care, but it comes from here first. Here first. You can't fake that.
No, you can't.
I see too many artists trying to be like hardcore rappers, and I'm like, are you really? I've known you. I've known you since you were a little kid. You really a hardcore rapper? Or are you trying to be this person like you're going and running a Rolls Royce and going in it and sitting it and doing a rap video? I'm like, if you are a rapper that's trying to sell a specific image and a persona, you do you. I mean, I know that's a common thing, but for me, I'm a person of, I grew up with a specific kind of music, a specific background, and to blend all of these different things together makes me who I am. And I love that.
I'm old school.
Oh, I know that.
Old school music from the pioneers, the legends. Who grew up watching Mimic, and I was able to take all that and incorporate into me for my style. I varied. But the interesting, people thought, oh, you always listen to soft stuff, always nice stuff. I'm like, this is how much you really don't know me. I grew up a former gang member, so I was listening to a lot of hard stuff. I was rapping, I was in it. In the gang members, different story for another time. But that thing, I was there. So now when people look at me, it's impossible. You wouldn't have that. You're not hard. I'm like, just don't push me there. That's it. Because you would see the Philly come out of me. It's simple. I mean, I can go. So, but I enjoy these things. But for me as Wawa, I like variety kind of music, something that hits and I can vibe with, feels good, and I can match it. Okay, so when I develop my own, I'm like, okay, I'm getting more content in who I am, what I like to do. Everything I like to do is positive because I grew up in an environment which was constantly negative, constantly. So I always had a fight to get my way around, whether it's within families or with the friends or the environment or the oppression or the fact that I'm deaf or all these things, gangs and all that. So I was always watching my back all the time. So now that I revealed that part, I'm sure some of you out there are like, what? Why? No way, that's impossible. Anything is possible. So people do and can change for the better if you really want. So the music, when I incorporate, it's what I do. So I like giving out positive music. And sometimes some of the hard beats, this is perfect to change the negative into a positive using hard beats and stuff like that. So it's like, people are like, wait, what? What? I like it. Different. So I like fusion. I like to mix it up. So I'm still learning, evolving. I think it takes time. It's an individual thing. So I enjoy it. But I love to sing. And I can't sing to save my life. Okay. Because Nicole would tell me, Nicole would come up and say, I want to try this song. I want to sing a little bit. And so I would sing. And he goes, don't you ever do that again. but I mean, I literally would laugh when he done it because I'm like, I know, I don't care. I just want you to understand why I sing this and when the rhythm was about to go. But there's sometimes on some of my songs I actually do sing, and he said, "This is good enough. This is good enough." Okay,
yeah.
So put it in. Okay, so I'm like, yeah, I got some singing voice in there. I love singing. My family, they sing. All three of my children are singers. They can really sing. So when I start singing, that's when the face just looked like that. No. Yeah. But so this is what I do.
Same in my house. My wife never complains.
Oh, yeah.
But my two kids are like, Dad, that's not how it goes. Like, I'll try singing like the latest Taylor Swift song, and they're like, no. I mean, it's hard sometimes to detect the inflection, how it blends in with the music.
Exactly.
I'm not sure the rhythm, and sometimes the rhythms are not your normal rhythm because they, as artists, are trying to push the envelope as well. The whole goal of this specific special podcast is to inspire deaf musicians out there. This is a scary field. It's not an easy field, but it takes confidence. It takes willingness to learn and to evolve and to be open to other people's ideas while maintaining your artistic integrity as well.
Yeah, I agree. So if you feel, okay, I can do it, be ready. Be ready to learn. It's a journey.
Be ready to ask good questions. Be ready to do your research. Because I've heard many people that I want to become a musician. And I'm like, okay, what have you worked on?
Nothing.
Like you have to start somewhere, and you can start with some of the ideas that we mentioned. Look for a beat that you like, write to that. Maybe you won't put it out, maybe you will, but you have to start somewhere.
Start it from the bottom. You will rise if you persist on it.
Right. Thank you for watching.
Okay.
I look forward to catching up more with you next week.
All right, take care and show some love.
Peace.
dpan.tv, the sign language channel.